Hi, I'm Brett Willoughby. I'm a CPA, and today we're going to talk about converting from being paid as laity to being paid as clergy. When you're paid as laity, you have a taxable amount in box 1, you have federal income tax withheld, and as clergy, you will also have an amount in box 1, that's what's called your base wage, and you can have federal income tax withheld. What you can't do is you can't force your employer to withhold federal income tax. We always recommend that if a pastor has their federal income tax withheld at 15% of their base plus their housing allowance in order to cover the self-employment tax. What is different about being paid as clergy is that you will no longer have FICA or Medicare taxes or wages reflected on your W-2. So Social Security, there's two ways to pay into Social Security. One is what's known as FICA and Medicare, that's paid by when you're an employee, and half of it's paid by your employer. The other half is withheld from your W-2, and that's what's reflected here. As clergy, you will pay Social Security as a self-employed individual on Schedule SE that's filed with your 1040. So that's one of the things that's different. Both the base wage and minister's housing allowance is subject to self-employment tax. It is not subject to income. The housing allowance is not subject to income tax. One of the benefits of having a housing allowance is that you can exclude from income the lower of what's reflected on your W-2, what you actually paid in housing-related expenses like rent, utilities, and mortgage and property tax, or the fair market rental value. Whatever the lower of those is, can be excluded from your income tax. And that's why clergy have this, quote, dual status. They're paid as an employee for income tax purposes, but for Social Security purposes, they are paying self-employment tax. The other thing that's important to know is that when you go from being paid as a laity and your compensation is $92,900, in order to keep the same amount of cash coming into your household and for the employer to spend the same amount on your compensation, you actually need to increase your gross from $92,900 to $100,000. And that way, because you're paying your employer's portion of Social Security now, that just changes your gross, but the actual cash amount coming into your house is the same. If you have any other questions about converting from laity or clergy, feel free to give us a call at text 911.